First question for you, and I'll go to Carolina first, and then Adam, it'd be good to hear your thoughts again, is when you're reviewing the CV, are you reviewing the LinkedIn profile of the sales candidate? And what points are you specifically looking for? Like, what do you want to see? What should stand out?
Okay, so excuse me. I think that's sort of a twofold thing there. Yes, you will look at the LinkedIn profile, but not necessarily if you've had the CV through another source. So when you're in-house, the applications can come from all manner of places. There will be a point perhaps later down the line where you compare the two. And if I think that's what we're talking about. So I think it is important to have them matching, but like Adam said, they don't obviously need to have the same information on them, but LinkedIn and your CV should certainly match in terms of the years you've been somewhere, the places you've been, etc. And that is important. And often people actually forget that. So when you cross-reference, you could have different months, different years, and that will raise unnecessary alarm bells because it is often just an admin mistake that you've not gone in and edited. So that's one. And then, sorry, James, what were you asking about
what's on those CVs that you're reviewing?
Yeah.
What stands out? Like what are you looking for as key indicators that this is someone you're going to take forward versus someone else?
Yeah. So exactly the same points as Adam said. For sales roles, do put the sales figures on there. It needs to be targets, achievements against targets. And like Adam also said, what is good to see is precedent clubs, anything like that. Because when you're reviewing multiple CVs, that is what will stick out. And I think having missed them off as a recruiter in-house, if I send it to the hiring manager, they'll say, what are their numbers? Yeah, but I talked to them and they said that it was that, but why have they not put it on their CV? It is a tender document. It's your first way of selling yourself and talking about how good you are. That is that bit of paper.
Adam, can you add to that? But also we had a question from Abdullah in regards to, figures that maybe aren't so successful. How do you typically advise sales candidates in that process?
I would be honest.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Not everyone is going to hit a target every year. If you don't put it down there, questions will be raised later.
Yeah.
So be honest.
Perfect. You're obviously reviewing a lot of CVs. What are the bugbears or the mistakes, Carolina, that you find that are just, you must see them over and over again? They're just glaring at you, and you're just like, why? What do you typically see?
It's often the length of them. As a salesperson, you've only got one first impression to make. So make that first impression with the CV, make it short, again, we keep going back to the whole target thing. Spelling mistakes are really not a good thing to have on there. It shows a lack of attention to detail. Not every recruiter is going to worry about it. I do. And I think it's important to get that. Sorry, I've got a really bad line. Can you guys actually hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's crackling a lot. Sorry.
I think a lot of the things that Carolina and I work with is we want to make sure we get it right to the sales leader. Because what we do is we minimize the time for the sales leader when reviewing the CV. So the sales leader, and when we get on to talk to Tim, people should not be spending 80% of their time as sales leader recruiting. A sales leader should be spending maximum 5% and 95% doing their job. If we put a CV forward and it's not matching the expectations or matching the desires, the sales leader is not going to be happy. So I think, as we both said, the CV is your tender document. If you get that right, you've got a better chance of winning the deal.
I think it's underestimated how important it is to have others, peers in your network, to give it a once or twice over as well before you start sending it out. I can sense, particularly over the last few months, people have unexpectedly found themselves on the market, and also potentially surprisingly due to surprise news or redundancy and changing strategy, and there is a bit of a pressure to get straight back out on the market. And I think already the advice has been shared about making sure that it's quality and that you're putting together a well-crafted CV with the right order of information. Is there anything else, Carolina? Adam mentioned kind of, personality and other history. When you're handing over a CV to a hiring manager internally, are there other things that they're asking you about the candidate that they want you to understand or express to them?
Well, yeah, I mentioned this to Adam before. I think it's often underestimated the impact the internal recruitment team can have. So they often are, or at the very least should be, a trusted advisor and a partner of that hiring manager. So I think as a candidate that has got an interview scheduled with somebody in-house, make sure that you bring your A game to the recruiter as well, because they will be asking you things like, what do you know about the company? What is it that interested you about the company? What do you know about our competitors, etc.? So if they have an in-house recruitment team, it often means that they are, yes, they're a bit of a gatekeeper, but they're a gatekeeper for a good reason. It's because they're trusted. So have exactly the same preparation to talk to the recruiter as you would for an interview with the hiring manager.
There's been situations where organisations have panel, and this is not just me working with Carolina, this is with other organisations, where someone from talent can actually blackball the opportunity for that person.
Yeah.
Because if you go through the process and they didn't do that well in the talent acquisition interview, it means they don't have a tick, and it means if you've got 5 in the panel, you've only got 80% of the panel, so you're not going to get the job.
Yeah, I think that is important, and as I said, more and more companies are actually investing in an in-house team, and they do that for a reason. They hire people in that team that they trust, that they're an extension of what their own interview would be. And I'd say also be prepared to have at least 5 to 7 interviews when you enter the interview process. It's never going to be quick. It's going to be even longer processes today, where it's super important that the few vacancies that companies have got get filled with people that have not only the right skills, but also the right cultural fit.
Amazing. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Adam. Just on this segment, we're going to have the panel in a bit. Is there any final parting advice or advice you share, Carolina, that you would share just to those listening today?
I do think, make sure, like I said, I think that is the one piece of advice I would give. Make friends with the in-house recruiter. They will handhold you through the whole process. They should be, from that point of contact, they should be your person through that process from start to finish. If you get on with them, they'll help you get the best offer they can possibly get you. And they will update you on anything you want to know, any little quirks about any of the managers, anyone that you're going to meet in the process. If you get on with a recruiter, they'll tell you all that.
That's great advice. I think that's underestimated how important your role is in that process. And what you've highlighted there is the important, like the sales process of a champion, getting someone on side so you can get those snippets which help you prepare for the next stage of the process.
Exactly that.
Amazing. Okay, well, Carolina, thank you for participating in this aspect. We're going to invite you back shortly.